right, it is time to look at the oldest books on my Goodreads TBR. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm super excited to be here today and to share with you this video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what I mean when I say this is one of the oldest books on my Goodreads TBR. And even though that is rather self-explanatory, it does have some particular parameters about it, and each year the list changes ever so slightly. And I do like to have sort of like a reference video for anything that I refer to repeatedly. And honestly, it's a book list video, which is always fun to do. So I am going to be sharing with you the oldest books on my Goodreads TBR and also like what I mean when I say by that. I will leave a table of contents down below if you would like to jump to just the book list. You're open to choose whatever you want to watch in terms of the video. But first I am going to just do some history on like what I mean by this. So I started Goodreads back in 2010 and I wasn't reading as much as I do. Actually, that year I did read a lot, but what I was reading is actually rather different than what I read now, which we'll see a little bit of when we get to the list. Yeah, I've been using it extensively. I love lists. I love being able to make different lists. I love tracking things. So when I found Goodreads, whoever mentioned it to me, thank you. I think it was probably Marina when we were doing our podcast back in the day. So anyway, yeah, I started using it then. And then like in 2019, I realized I was coming up to my 10-year anniversary of Goodreads. So I gave myself the challenge to read books that I added to Goodreads on that very first day. And then in 2020, I decided to expand on that list and added anything I added in 2010, so for the whole year of 2010. And now for this year, 2021, I let the list grow ever so slightly more to include any of the titles I added in 2011. So I'm always working with books that I added to Goodreads 10 years ago or more, if I got the math right. Sometimes I'm like, is it 10 years? Is it 11 years? Is it 9 years? But I'm going with 2021, we're working from 2010, 2011 and before. So that's how I work it. It also is not my want to read list on Goodreads. If you're looking, I have a particular shelf called a real want to read because at the time when I was using it, you could only mark a book on a list. You can only put a book on a list if either you are saying that you read it, you want to read it, or you are currently reading it, and I make a lot of lists, and some of the lists include books that I don't necessarily want to read. So anything that is marked as want to read, it's not necessarily that I want to read it, it's just it's on a list somewhere. So I have a separate shelf called a real want to read because I'm so creative. I started it with so it would be at the top. So anyway, if you're looking, that's actually the shelf that I am working with. And this is so it is a static list for the year, and every year I add another year to the list. And so far we're doing okay, but in a couple years it's going to get a little out of hand, but not there yet. And each year I set myself a goal of reading X amount of books from this list. I think in my original one, I thought I was going to read all of them. That's how it didn't happen. And so I don't actually, my success rate on this challenge is actually pretty low. So from the ones that I've read in 2019, when I first set out the challenge, I read one book, and that was Moby Dick. So out of all of the books, to only have one book, Moby Dick isn't so bad. But yeah, so the first year of the challenge, I only read one book. For the second year of the challenge, I read 4 books and had 1 DNF. So that was in 2020. And then I DNF'd The Time Traveler's Wife. And then I read Dune by Frank Herbert, Into the Wild by John Krakauer, Foundation by Isaac Asimov, and The Silver Kiss by Annette Curtis Klaus, which is a paranormal YA that I read last year, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was great. It was standalone as well. So that is my progress on my first 2 years of the challenge. This is when I can get embarrassed by like the things I share that I do, because it's like, why do I even bother if I've like read 5 titles in 2 years? It's still fun to do. I actually don't. I feel like I should be discouraged by those numbers, but I'm not. This is a list that I continue to work on and continue to look at, and I like to continue to try my best. So anyway, so those are the epic 6 titles that have come off the list. And I do consider the DNF of A Time Traveler's Wife to count because I made the decision about the title. And I feel like for this list that's fair. If something comes off of it, then I consider that like I got a point, like because I've made the decision. So whether it's a DNF or I decide I don't want to read it at all, for whatever reason, or if I read it, all of those count as towards the goal. So for this particular year, for 2021, my goal is to read 18 titles from this list, and the current list is sitting at 58 titles. I have 23 that I added the first day I joined Goodreads, which I think was February 10th, 2010. And then I have 30 more from 2010 overall. And then thankfully only 5 more from 2011. And so the total at this point is 58 titles. So those are the 58 works on my Goodreads TBR list. So now we are going to look at them. So from the first day, from day 1, starting right at the beginning, from that February 10th, 2010, when I found Goodreads, these are the books. The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I can't believe I haven't read this. 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This one's actually a bit more challenging to find. The library has it physically only, not digitally. They have an audiobook, but I don't think I could do it on audiobook. And the physical edition at the library has lots and lots and lots of holds. All of the copies are out. So this one I am not sure how I'm going to get my hands on. Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, which I am currently reading. The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. I'm a little surprised at this one. I imagine it was around the time that the film came out. Under the Tuscan Sun by Frances Meyer. This one I actually have seen the film. I actually did not realize it was a memoir. It's a memoir, right? I think it's a memoir. A beloved memoir of self-discovery set in the spectacular Tuscan countryside. I need to read this, like seriously. The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. Now this one, I am not sure what to do about this one because it's the second in a series, and I believe all of Dan Brown's books are really long. I haven't seen the movie. Usually I like to watch or read the book first. I don't know. And I don't know if I added this around the time the movie came out. It's a bit of a mystery. I haven't read Dan Brown before. I have The Terror, but I want to watch the TV show first. I think that's by him as well. Anyway, let's keep going because I don't know what to do about that one. Next up, The Shining by Stephen King. I've seen the movie. I find it terrifying. I haven't watched it in years. It's one of the ones that I don't think I would watch again because terrifying. And I don't know if I could read the book. What was I thinking that day? A Time to Kill by John Grisham. This one I have seen the movie. I'm a little surprised this one's on the list. This is one that I could sort of go either way on, maybe taking it off the list. I haven't read a John Grisham. That might be the reason why I kept it on the list, so Time to Kill. The Bourne Identity by Robert Langdon. I love the movie so much. And this one I actually am reading it. I actually have this edition, and I've bound it into volumes because it's 600 pages. It's a skinny paperback, but it's still 600 pages, so I am currently reading this one. Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. This one I want to finish the first season of the TV show first. I have 6 episodes left. Every month I think this is the month I'll finish season 1. And then the book is like 850 pages. So yeah, need to finish the show first. 1984 by George Orwell. This is like, at this point I just find it embarrassing not to have read this one, as well as Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I think sometimes I have a hard time deciding which one to start with. Like I feel like 1984 is the better one to start with, but for some reason I feel like Brave New World I might have it in paperback, and I feel like maybe that would be a better way to go. If you have a non-spoiler opinion on which one to go with, feel free to let me know. Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert A. Heinlein. I've read 2 other Heinleins, and I haven't liked either of them, so I'm a little unsure on whether I would read this. I do have this physically, so I might give it a go and, yay nay it, but I'm not in any rush. Sorn by Jennifer Robertson. This is the 6th book in the Tiger and Dell series. I am actually rereading the series at the moment, so I can read this book, and I am in the middle of book 5, so I'm getting closer to being able to read it. Another situation where it's a series, so we have The Blood King, Darkhaven, and The Dark Lady's Chosen, all by Gail Z. Martin. These are the second, third, and fourth book in the Chronicles of the Necromancer series, which is a fantasy series, but I need to reread book one. I need to reread The Summoner, which I do have, and man, it is a big book. So I need to reread that first, and then I can, but these ones are a bit hard to find. They were available on Kindle, and now they're not available on Kindle anymore. They are available secondhand, but they're not available at the library, like secondhand from like Amazon. So I'm not quite sure what to do about it. I loved it when I read it, but I read it over 10 years ago, and the Goodreads reviews, oh my gosh, most of them are not positive, but I loved it. So I'm kind of like unsure about like my own memory of it, but the only way to know is to dive back in. So I did pick up The Summoner secondhand, and so that's the first step for that one. And then another series, Beggar's Ride. So this is the third in the Sleepless series by Nancy Kress. I need to reread the series. So, and I do have the first one. The second one I would have to listen to on audio. Not my favorite. And then I did finally get a copy of Beggar's Ride, which I'm really happy about because it's been a bit challenging to find. It is not, I got it again secondhand off Amazon. So, and it wasn't, nobody was selling it for years. So happy to find it. So yeah, so that's another one there. And then Graceling by Kristen Cashore. This is a YA fantasy first in series book. Battle Royale by Toshan Takami. This was made into a film that was very popular at the time, and it's very extreme. I haven't actually seen it, and I did feel like I wanted to read the book first, because that's my general way with things. And then The Year My Sister Got Lucky by Amy Friedman. I had read another book by her, I think called Sea Change, that I really, really enjoyed. That was a bit more urban fantasy-like. This one I think is contemporary YA. And King Rat by China Miéville. I haven't read anything by China Miéville, and I'm actually a little surprised that this was the first one that I added to Goodreads, but it is. And then the last book that I added to Goodreads on that very first day was Starship Troopers by Robert Langdon, which I have read. Yay! I finally finished it earlier this year. It took forever. It took me almost a year to read it. I didn't really enjoy it. But I did finally make it through. So those are the ones from day one, and then we get into the next level. I couldn't find anything that said like level up or the next level, so we're going with stairs as our symbolic trek to the next level. So the 30 titles that I added in 2010 start with Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Let's just start things really lightly there. Maybe now. Another Faust. This is by Daniel and Dina Naira. This is the first in the Marlowe School, or Another. It's called Another. Those are two different names of the series names. As you can probably tell, it is a YA paranormal school setting something. I don't know too much about it. So yeah, that is one that I added. Then Elsewhere by Gabrielle Zevin. I think this is a standalone urban fantasy, contemporary, not sure. Wicked Lovely by Melissa Marr. First in the Wicked Lovely series. I actually had this book at one point. I don't know what happened to it. Urban fantasy, YA, paranormal something. Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick, the first in the Hush Hush series. I think this is YA paranormal angels, I think. Blue Bloods by Melissa De La Cruz, YA paranormal. Are we sensing a theme here? Are we sensing what I was reading in 2010? Okay, not exclusively. Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. I actually do have this on Kindle. It is public domain. I do want to work through the Extraordinary Voyages series. They're dry, not gonna lie, but I have enjoyed them, and I like the sense of wonder and adventure, which is something that I like. So I hope to get to this in the nearish future-ish sometime. I want to get to all these books at some point. Perdido Street Station by China Miéville. I think this one is sort of like the one, so I don't know if this is a good place to start with their work, but I know this is also the first in a series, so I don't know if I should go here or go with The City in the City by China Miéville. So if you have any opinions on what the best work to start with China Miéville is, like, I kind of feel like maybe should I just pick the shortest title? I'm not sure. I'm very curious to check out their work. And then Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Honestly, I should really read this one because it's like 200 pages. It's not actually apparently for a kid's audience, apparently according to his nonfiction stuff that he's written about it, but it was received or perceived for a younger audience. I have seen the movie. I've been a bit hit and miss with Neil Gaiman, and so I haven't tried anything for a while, so maybe this would be a good place to start. The Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. Honestly, this was a big shock to me when I noticed it on the list. I did not know that I was aware of this book. Of course, the Diviners series, or the Diviner book, and that series that it starts is very popular. And this one, I believe, came before. So I was very surprised. I don't know what it is. YA historical mystery suspense? Not sure. Obviously, I don't know tons about these books. Daughter of the Fortis by Julie Marillier. I really want to read this. This is, I think, fantasy, like folklore-based fantasy with romance. And it's part of a trilogy, and I can't believe I haven't read it. It's just the fact that the book is really big, and so many people love it. So I don't know if that means I should do it as a secret read, or if I should do it as a buddy read or something. I don't know. I do want to read it. I would be so heartbroken if I didn't love it, given the love people have for this book. But so I haven't taken that one on. The Secret Under My Skin by Janet McNaughton. This is one of the ones that actually is quite not that easy to get. I think it's available only on Kindle. And I don't have any sense of why I picked it or what it's about. Maybe YA science fiction paranormal? Not sure. Kushiel's Dart by Jacqueline Carey. This one I was actually surprised was so early on my list. I didn't know I had known about it before the Vaginal Fantasy Book Club, because I know it's one of Felicia Day's, one of the books that she refers to again and again. This one, literally, if I read this book, I think I would hit like 5 or 6 of my annual goals, because it's the oldest on my Goodreads TBR. I own it on Kindle. It's a vaginal fantasy pick. I think it's on my sci-fi fantasy and weird list. And there's at least one other list that it's on that I'm working through. So it's like 900 pages. It is fantasy, racy. I don't know how much romancy it is, but it's sort of in that vein of things. So first in the Phaedra trilogy. We also have Perfume Story of a Murderer by Patrick Suskind. I love the movie. I didn't know it was based on a book. I really want to read it. It was really hard to find a cover that didn't have nudity on it. And I know it's one of Izzy's favorite books from Punk Rock Girl PA. And I really want to read it. This one I actually really would like to read this year. I can't remember why, but there is a particular reason. Okay, I got to speed this up. Surrender by Sonia Hartnett. I have no idea. So this says, a literary psychological thriller hauntingly told. Not a clue. Not a clue. The Wish List by, I don't know how to pronounce the author's name, the author of Artemis Fowl. I imagine I put this on the list because I enjoyed Artemis Fowl. The Demon's Lexicon by Sarah Reese Brennan. Looks like YA paranormal thrillery something. Evernight by Claudia Gray. YA paranormal. I actually don't know if this one's YA. It does definitely look paranormal romancy though. 20 Boys Summer by Sarah Ackler, YA contemporary. This one is okay, so The Sigh of Harui Suzumiya by Naguru Tanagawi. All the titles and authors will be listed down below. This one, I have no idea why I added it to the list. It is the second in a series, and it looks like it's a light novel, but it's part of a manga series. It's not that available. I don't know why I added it. I wasn't reading manga at the time. I don't know, maybe it was adapted. Maybe someone recommended it to me as a place to start with manga, but then I looked it up and it's a light novel, which I don't totally understand what that means. So, not a clue. Not a clue. And it's not terribly, I think it's available at the library. I think they have it physically, but not digitally. So, not sure where to go with that one. Betwixt by Tara Bray Smith. This one was available digitally at the library, but isn't anymore. When that happens, I think it's a YA horror, paranormal something. I don't know. The Glass Beam Game by Herman Hesse. I think it's Hesse. I'm not sure if it's Hesse or Hesse. I think this was one of my mom's favorite books, so that's why it made the list. Magic Lost Trouble Found by Lisa Sheridan. This is the first in an adult urban fantasy series, and it looks like so much fun. I don't know why I put it on at the time, but when I was researching, I think last year at some point, the library has most of the series or all of the series digitally, and it looks like a blast. So I definitely want to try this one out. It is not a series I've heard people talk about, so I think it would be fun to try. The Girl Who Played with Fire. I am currently reading this one. The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest by Stig Larsson. Sorry, those are both by Stig Larsson. So these are Swedish thrillers. I have seen this series. I probably, once I finish The Girl Who Played with Fire, I'll probably DNF this and just leave it there. It's been a really slow read. I'm not really enjoying it. I'm ready to get it done and just move on. Just move on. I've seen the movies. They're amazing, but they're really intense, and I don't really need more of that energy. So I'm ready to get complete on that. The Keeper of Light and Dust by Natasha Mostert. This is, it looks, I think it's a YA, but I think it's like science fiction-y vampire something. In the Woods by Tana French. I think I put this on the list because it was really popular at the time, and I got it from the library, and I had to return it before finishing it. But it's a thriller, and I don't read a lot of them, so I was surprised to see it there. The Synthesis by Jason Letts. This is the first in the Powerless series. I believe this is YA science fiction. Loose Lips Sink Ships by Karina Lacroix. This is YA contemporary. You can imagine sort of the shenanigans that are around it. And it's actually available on Scribd. It is not that long, so I actually would really like to, this would be a really good, this and Coraline, oddly, would be great to read because I think they both be quick reads, and I should just get them done. So that's the last one from 2010. So now on to next level, leveling up to 2011, and we have The Elephant of Hollywood by Michael Caine. This is a memoir. I got this one from the library back in 2011, and I didn't finish it, so I had to return it, so it went on the list. Unearthly by Cynthia Hand. This is the first in a, wait for it, paranormal YA series. I think it's paranormal. I know it is paranormal. I don't remember if it's YA. Looks kind of YA. I'm totally judging the book by the cover and by what I was reading at the time, so there's that one. The Eagle of the Ninth by Rosemary Sutcliffe. This is the first in the Dolphin Cycle series, and it is it was around the time the movie came out. And like the Michael Caine book, I got it out from the library. I started reading it. I didn't finish it. Returned it to the library. It went on the list. I never ended up getting back to it. Sadly, this is not available digitally at the library, so there's more limited availability. Same with the Michael Caine book, so I haven't come back to it. I was actually really excited to see both of those as editions this year, and because this is a historical adventure younger novel. I think it's more kids. It's before YA was a thing, because it's from the 50s or 60s. And so, yeah, I really want to check that one out. Then we have The Droughtlanders by Carrie Mack. This is one I definitely got from the library. I think it's a Canadian author. It's not very available, so I'm not sure what to do about that one. And then the last one is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, the first in the All Souls trilogy. I have this on Kindle. It's been adapted to a film. It might have been a vaginal fantasy pick, and it's on this list. So this is another one that I would hit so many annual goals if I read it, so I really should just read it. And I think that is it. Oh, I do have some weirdness. I have some prerequisites, so I need to finish Swordborn by Jennifer Robertson, The Summoner by Gil Z. Martin, and then also Beggars in Spain and Beggars and Choosers, so that I can read Beggar's Ride. And I actually, as I mentioned, I did get Beggar's Ride. So I actually have some of the books. I have two out of the 4 prerequisites, and I would like to read those 4 prerequisites this year. No joke. I want to read them this year so that I can go on to working on this list proper and have no more prerequisites. And I actually do have a bunch of the books. You know, I have tons. I actually have more of them. They're tucked away, but I have, at least 13 physically, and I think another 5 or so on Kindle. So I have a lot of the books, and my goal for this year is 18 out of the 58 titles. I've already read Starship Troopers, so 17 for the rest of the year, and the 4 prerequisites, so that's 21. Am I going to get to all those? Like, probably not. I am in the middle of Les Mis, The Girl Who Played with Fire, and The Bourne Identity, so I am making some progress, and I do hold this one a little bit lightly. I find it fun to work on. I find it fun to look back on who I was in, 2010 and 2011, and what my reading interests were, and what is the same and different. Like, there's obviously a lot of book-to-film adaptations, there's obviously a lot of paranormal and urban fantasy. I don't read a lot of YA paranormal urban fantasy, but I read more adult urban fantasy. But last year when I read The Silver Kiss, I loved it. So that kind of convinced me not to just like cull this list of like a bunch of stuff, because there still could be lots of titles in here that I really enjoy. And I just like looking back on it as a bit of a time capsule, and just like an opportunity for like, as a goal. Like, it's just, I hold it lightly. You know what I mean? Like, am I going to get to 18? I mean, probably not, but maybe I'll get to 8. And I think I picked 18 because I'm at 58. And if I get to 18, I'll get it down to 40. So I think that's really where the 18 came from, not so much as I logicked out that I could read 18 books this year. And because I have so many different annual goals, like I often do just pick arbitrary numbers and just see how close I get. I don't take it too seriously. I take it as fun, a way to sort of like embrace my reading past and see if my tastes are the same. But also I want to live in the now. I don't want to only read books that I was interested in 10 years ago, because there are new books out and I have new interests and I have new priorities with my reading. So that's why I like to keep it as one of the goals that I work on, but not the only goal that I work on. And so fingers crossed I make some progress this year. Let me know how you think I'll do. Will I get to 18? Will I get to more than 1? I am surprised at how much paranormal YA is on there. But on the other hand, they do tend to be quick reads, so maybe I should start working them back in. A fair amount of the books do have some challenges to actually get them, but it wasn't as many as I thought. I think it's about 4 of the 58 are really hard, and then there's about another 8 I can only get at the physical library. But that means there's like 40... I think about 30 to 40 books that are readily available. So that is lots to choose from. And if you're curious, I did count the numbers of the pages. So for all of the books, it's 25,173 pages. But I did read Starship Troopers, so it's actually only 24,838 pages. If I dedicated a year to it, I could do it, but I don't think I would have a good time with that, because the more constricting challenges, the less I enjoy it, and it does reduce my chance of success. So keeping it light, keeping it open, keeping it having lots of possibilities is something that I find improves both my enjoyment and my success rate. So so that's what I have decided to go with this challenge, and with a fair amount of my reading challenge. So let me know, what do you consider the oldest books on your Goodreads TBR? Is it just the first day, the first year? Have you never heard of like organizing like this? I think it's also when I've been on something, it's actually pretty amazing to have been able to use something for over 10 years and have that amount of tracking, although that also means they have that amount of tracking on me, so that's a bit weird. That is a weird note to end on. Anyway, I have read 1. Will I get to 18? Only time will tell. And let me know, do you work on the oldest books on your Goodreads TBR? That's a better question. And I'll be back soon with another video. Thank you so much for watching.